Computer, begin entry. Evolutionary file SuperBio1, codename The Hulk. The Hulk is a name synonymous with raw physical strength and power, with good reason. He has defeated powerful opponents like the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. He has even carried a mountain weighing over 150 billion tons on his back. But no one seems to know the source of his extraordinary power. Today, we will speculate on the source of the Jolly Green Giant's strength. The Hulk is actually the mild-mannered scientist Dr. Bruce Banner, who was recruited by the US Army for Project Gamma, a plan to develop the Gamma Bomb, a powerful weapon fueled by gamma radiation. Though some sources say he was unknowingly working on a project to replicate the super soldier serum using gamma radiation. Not much is known about Project Gamma, only that during the project, an accident occurred which exposed Dr. Banner to high levels of gamma radiation, which mutated him into the Hulk. The first, most obvious candidate for his strength is his massive muscles. Many animals have exceptional musculature. The musk ox can carry 900 kilograms, gorillas can lift or carry up to 2,000 kilograms, and elephants can carry an enormous 9,000 kilograms. So how do these animals get this strong? In most animals, the mstn gene produces a protein called myostatin that limits muscle growth. But in these animals, this gene is either off or barely active. I suspect that the Hulk has no myostatin protein limiters. Either the gamma radiation or the super soldier serum must have destroyed or mutated his mstn gene. Without a normal working version of this gene, he cannot produce any myostatin. And without myostatin, his muscles have no growth limits. And with no growth limits, his muscles are allowed to grow to whatever size is needed at that time. This would explain some of his strength, but not all of it. One key element remains, something which I have already alluded to: energy. You see, animals limit the amount of muscle they produce because muscle is extremely energy demanding. This is why bodybuilders need huge amounts of food just to maintain their muscle mass. So, to understand his strength, we need to understand more than just why he has such large muscles. We must understand where he gets the energy to fuel them. Where does he get enough energy to hold up a mountain, leap several hundred meters, or punch targets into space? I think the answer is nuclear energy. I suspect that his cells are living nuclear reactors. Nuclear reactors generate energy through the process of nuclear fission. When radioactive atoms decay, they release energy along with 3 neutrons. If you gather these radioactive atoms together, the neutrons can then strike neighboring radioactive atoms, causing them to decay as well. They also release energy and neutrons, which in turn hit other atoms. This initiates a nuclear chain reaction that releases vast amounts of energy as heat and light. Although very little is known about Project Gamma Pulse, we know that it involved using radioactive materials. If Dr. Banner's body absorbed these materials, they could be used in nuclear reactions to power his cells. If his cells pulled in the nuclear materials together, a nuclear chain reaction would start, and the energy produced would power his cells. The energy made in nuclear reactions is usually in the form of heat and electromagnetic radiation, aka light. It is unclear what exact reactions would convert the heat and radiation into usable energy though. It's probably similar to how plants do it. Plants absorb heat and radiation from the sun and use that to power their cells. This explains something else about the Hulk: his green skin. Plants use a pigment called chlorophyll to absorb radiation and use that to power their cells. But if the Hulk's cells are living nuclear reactors and his body has some kind of chlorophyll-like pigment, his cells could feasibly convert the heat and radiation into usable chemical energy. And guess what color chlorophyll is? It's green, just like the Hulk. So the Hulk might not just be a nuclear reactor. He is, in a sense, a plant, a living nuclear plant, if you will, capable not just of producing radiation, but also absorbing it. So, to summarize, the Hulk uses nuclear materials to start nuclear reactions in his cells. This makes radiation and heat. His cells then absorb and convert this radiation into chemical fuel for his body, probably through some photosynthetic process, just like a plant. This would also explain why the Hulk was willing to use the Infinity Gauntlet, a weapon notorious for releasing high amounts of radiation when used. He must have pigments that are able to absorb this radiation. This energy lets him execute amazing feats, like holding up a mountain. Let's see how much energy it would take to do such a thing. To find the energy to lift a 150 billion ton mountain, we can use the formula E is equal to mgh, where E is the amount of energy in joules, m is the mass in kilograms, g, gravitational acceleration, and h is the height in meters the mountain is lifted. We don't know how high he would have had to raise it off the ground, but if we assume he lifted it just 1 meter and we plug all the values into the equation, we get a value of 1.47 times 10 to the power 15 joules of energy. That's about 351 kilotons of TNT. That is equivalent to 23 times the amount of energy released by the bomb that was detonated over Hiroshima, or about a third the energy released by modern US nuclear bombs. Plutonium, probably the most energy-rich fissile material, has an energy density of about 85 terajoules per kilogram. This means that to lift a mountain, he'd need at least 17.29 kilograms of plutonium, assuming a 100% conversion rate, of course. Considering the sheer size of the Hulk, this is not a lot of mass. That being said, he would need to periodically replenish his plutonium stores. There is also no way to analyze how exactly his cells do all this without a sample to analyze. How does he have all this gamma radiation and nuclear material without damaging the DNA in his cells? Why isn't the Hulk just one giant cancerous blob? How does he convert the energy safely without exploding? What kind of enzymes and proteins do all this? We should contact Samuel Stearns, or the leader, to see if we can work to get a sample of the Hulk's tissue. However, it may be more prudent to get a sample from Jennifer Walters, his weaker cousin. Forward my plans to our sample and capture department. Computer and file. What did you think of our analysis? Are there any powers, characters, or factions that you would like us to examine? Let us know in the comments below. And to remain updated on the capabilities of your allies and foes, like and subscribe to the Grand Evolutionary.